for the City of Rochester. Work for Public Works. Megan Moeller is here with me, also from Public Works. She's going to help me kind of manage the meeting. See, we've started recording now. I'll start over. I'm Sam Budzina, City Traffic Engineer with Rochester Public Works. Megan Moeller is also here with us from Public Works, going to help us manage the meeting. So if you have any questions while I'm presenting, feel free to type into the chat. If you've only called in, you probably have to wait for your questions till the end. I'm going to try to be as descriptive as possible as I walk through these options. But if you are able to join on a computer, it'd be a lot easier for you to follow along for sure. A little bit of background on this program, the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program. We got a petition a couple of years ago and been trying to work through options since then for the section of East River Road Northeast between 24th Street and Broadway. So we had a meeting, came up, just talked through some of the issues and the concerns and came up with an option, kind of presented that online, didn't go over very well. We did include some more of the neighborhood along Riverside Lane Northeast. And so based on the feedback, we're not really considering that option anymore. So we came up with 4 new options. And my intent today is to walk through the options, make sure everybody has all their questions answered, and basically just present the options. Once I'm done with that and make sure everybody has their questions answered and everybody understands what the options are, we can probably unmute everybody again, open it up for a little more just open dialogue and conversation amongst all of you neighbors, and I can kind of sit back and listen to the feedback. After the meeting, for 2 weeks, we'll be collecting comments. So if you go onto the website, the same page where you found this meeting information, down towards the bottom, there's a link to submit feedback. There's a little survey you go through you can comment on each of the options individually and then give some more general comments too. And I will go ahead and share my screen and start talking through the first option. So a lot of the feedback that we've received through this process so far been pretty well geared towards wanting to close the road and not allow through traffic at all. So that's what the first 3 options are really focusing on. So option number 1, and these are all pretty closer down towards the Broadway end. Starting at the north end up here, basically constructing curb and gutter and making this look more like a driveway up at East River Lane. So south of that, for all the residences would basically just be a shared driveway. And so there's one house here, and I believe there's 3 houses off of this this is a private shared driveway over here. We do have to, for streets that are longer than 150 feet, we do have to provide a turnaround for service vehicles. And that's what any of this road closure becomes really difficult, because you can't just provide one turnaround, you have to provide a turnaround on both sides of the closure. So the concept would use this part of this private shared drive for a turnaround for the service vehicles. And those are things like garbage trucks, fire trucks, UPS, things like that. Most of the small vehicles, personal cars, they don't really need these turnarounds. They can just kind of do a 3-point turn anywhere in the road and get back out the other way. And with closing the road, there's not going to be a lot of traffic. So making that maneuver, there shouldn't be safety concerns with it. They should be able to do that just fine. I have not spoken with anybody that lives off of this private drive back here. So if you are one of those people, I'd definitely let me know. I would love to talk with you about this. So south of there, we would maintain a pedestrian bike connection. That was one thing that we also heard was we want to be able to still walk and bike through there. A lot of people walk along this road. And then south of that, construct more of a cul-de-sac bulb. And we'd have to relocate a couple of fire hydrants down there as well. So that one business down there would still be able to access off of the cul-de-sac bulb. Again, be acquiring easements with this one. Some of the downsides of this option, along with acquiring the easements, it's the most expensive option for sure. And then just acquiring the easements, we have to get the property owners on board with that. So I don't know. See, you see a question came in. There's an exit at one end. I guess I'm not sure that I understand the question. Any vehicles that come in here will need to be able to turn around and get back out the way they came in. And same here, larger vehicles need the space to turn around and get back out the way that they came in. So seeing no other questions coming in on option one, can move on to option two. Oh, I was going to say one of the pros about this option is that it keeps all of the residential units north of the closure. So it totally separates the residences from the commercial areas.
Can we have more sound?
More than just me talking?
More than what he's talking.
Can't hardly hear you.
I'm hearing Sam okay. It might need to adjust controls on your end of the presentation. Sam, since we've interrupted you about option one, there was a question about the cost of option one. So if you want to address that quick, and then we can move along.
Yeah, so for option one, we're thinking, we can do a lot of this work with our own crews, but we're still thinking it would cost probably around the $70,000 range. Which, with our neighborhood traffic management program, we get $50,000 a year. So, and we didn't do anything last year, so we do have the money available to do it. But it does mean that it limits how many other neighborhoods that we can get to as well. So something that City Council will have to consider. Okay, so option two moves this closure a little bit further to the north. So again, starting at the north end, we'd kind of do the same thing with creating a curb and gutter here. Now with this scenario, service vehicles that come down here, they would be able to utilize the large cul-de-sac to turn around and get back out again. Again, if it's a small vehicle, they'd probably just swing around here in the intersection. I do not think that we're feeding a lot of traffic down the cul-de-sac or anything like that. We'd still maintain a ped bike connection through here, and then have a shared driveway to the south. Because this is longer than 150 feet, we do need the turnaround here for service vehicles. So we'd still have a little bit of easement acquisition here. Now to get to this last driveway here is less than 150 feet, so we don't need a turnaround. Vehicles can just back out. One of the things, so I did talk about all these options with our street maintenance people and the fire department as well. So with this option, there's no need to relocate any fire hydrants. That they were okay with that. We originally showed the path going right down the middle here, But street maintenance wanted it pushed off to one side so that they could push snow to the other side. As far as which side we pick, that can be adjusted if we need to. So, I don't know, Megan, did we see any questions coming in about option 2?
I have not seen any come in. Did you address the cost? Because that might be, and yep, there was the cost question.
Yeah, so I will say on the website down here, we do have, I believe it was on here, wasn't it? There we go. So cost estimates for each of the options. So option 1, like I said, was 70,000. Option 2, I think we can get it done for around 25,000. So option 3 is 5,000 and option 4, about 45,000. Go ahead and address those now. So moving on to option 3 then, being the lowest cost option where we don't need to acquire easements. And I think the best thing about this one being that it's the least expensive, it'd be easiest to do once council approves it. We can get this one done pretty quick. We don't need to go through the whole easement acquisition process. It's basically just putting some Jersey barriers in the road. It is pretty flat through here off to the side of the road. So if we just did the barriers, I would be pretty concerned that people are just going to drive through people's front yards. So we are recommending some posts to go out quite a ways to prevent some of that driving around. I know Jersey barriers are not the most attractive things in the world. We may be able to utilize, if you guys saw some of the outdoor dining that was up last summer, there was a lot of Jersey barriers out there with some nice artwork on there. We have to check the lengths and make sure that we're not going to be hanging off the side of the road, because we do want to still be able to allow pedestrian and bicycle access through there. And we're showing 2 sets of barriers, again, just to further try to mitigate the risk of people potentially driving around. See a question about how tall they are. I believe they're 2.5 feet tall. Maybe 3 feet. Again, with this option now, you've got everyone that lives on East River Lane Northeast would have to exit the neighborhood to the south. Everybody north of the barriers from, I believe that's 27th or 22nd Street, 23rd. They would all go up, exit the neighborhood to the north. There's the cul-de-sac here again for vehicles, service vehicles to turn around. When the plow comes out here, they could back out. They said they could do that. There is a turnaround at the end of the street to the north here. So, fairly simple one. You see a comment about art. Hopefully that is something that we could utilize out there. Question about people coming in from the south. I don't know that they would turn around at the auto place. Again, most small cars that come through here and they see the dead end, probably just going to whip around in the street or somewhere in this intersection. The large turnarounds really are for those larger vehicles. So moving on to option 4. If we can't get on board with closing the road, we have to find an option that people are okay with closing in front of their house. If we can't find a location that people agree on, then closing the road might not be a feasible option. So option 4 leaves the road open. I will say, in speaking with the fire department, they generally don't like speed humps, but they actually preferred this option because it still allows them to get through if they need to get through. I don't know that by closing the road, that we're greatly increasing response times from the fire department, because this neighborhood is there's pretty well right in the middle between Station 4 up on 41st Street Northwest and Station 2 up on Viola Road. So, if a call comes in south of wherever we close the road, probably get a response from Station 2. And if anyone north of the barrier would probably get a response from Station 4. So it wouldn't be a lot of driving around the barrier, but so for speed humps to really work for speed reduction, you can't just have one of them. You have to get one about every 500 feet in order to keep speeds low throughout the whole corridor. So I'm showing 4 of them on here. It's around 500 feet to maybe a little bit more between some of them, but I tried to pick some locations that are not in a curve and not directly in front of people's driveways and things like that. These can be shifted around a little bit if we think that they need to be. And this is not the cheapest option either. The speed humps are they're not super easy to put in. So this option again is about $45,000. So it's the second most expensive option. And so Megan, are we hitting questions on this one?
We are. There was a question about the noise associated with irresponsible drivers going quickly over the speed bumps or accelerating right afterwards. So basically noise related to the speed humps.
Yes, that is definitely one of the downsides of speed humps. Both, slowing down and accelerating between them. If people don't slow down, there's going to be loud noises from actually hitting the speed bump. It could cause damage to vehicles as well. Be the person's own fault, but still aren't trying to damage people's vehicles out here. Yeah, noise is definitely one of the bigger downsides of speed humps.
There was comments. I'm just kind of scrolling through these to see which ones would make sense to address right now. There was questions about, getting that consensus, and just because there wasn't a consensus on 3 of them, that they don't want the default to be the 4th option. So just kind of the process of how we'll decide going forward. A question about the eventual building up on 48th Street and Northeast River Road. So just future development considered with the speed bumps and the road condition. How does maintenance factor into the cost and consideration with the speed humps?
Sorry about that noise there. That was really distracting. Megan, you might need to unmute again and ask me one question at a time. How about try that?
Yes. So there was a question about future use being factored in with the speed humps, specifically building up off of 48th Street and north of East River Road been considered. I guess I'll maybe back up and say, have the future uses of the corridor and surrounding land use been factored into the options?
I guess I'm not. I think the comment about 48th Street is kind of throwing me off a little bit. That's quite a bit further north. It's also a county road, so I don't know if the city has too much to do with it. As far as surrounding land uses, yes, in our comprehensive plan, which we refer to as our thoroughfare plan as well. This section of East River Road is a local street. To the north of 24th Street and including 24th Street, that is a local collector, and those are state aid routes. So on a state aid route, the vertical deflection created by a speed hump does not meet state aid requirements. So we cannot put speed humps on those streets.
Now, how does street maintenance factor into the decisions related to the speed humps, whether it's the resurfacing schedules or just the cost and the maintenance with that clearing when it comes to snow removal? How do those factor into the decision-making process?
It doesn't increase cost for snow removal. Plows can drive right over the top of them. Any measures that we take to reduce the volume of traffic is gonna reduce the wear and tear on the road. So it, could deteriorate more slowly, meaning we won't need maintenance nearly as frequently. If the road is in bad shape, we our street maintenance folks, they go out and do pavement ratings, and when it's at the top of the list of worst streets, then they will get out there and repave it. They're in the middle of doing a lot of that right now. I'm sure a lot of people have probably had a hard time parking near downtown lately.
Can you confirm that we heard it correctly, that this option with the speed humps was the preferred option of the fire department? Was that correct?
Of the person in the fire department that I talked to, yes.
Okay. And then there were some questions along the lines of how does pedestrian and bicycle traffic, so the easeability of ped and bike use factor into the options that are presented here and the decision making going forward?
Well, I guess that would be something for probably city council to weigh in on how that would affect their decision. Obviously, there's no sidewalks out here. I definitely would agree it would be safer for pedestrians and bicyclists if this road were closed. We could do a full street reconstruction and add sidewalks and everything, but when people ask for things like that, I kind of have to caution them a little bit to be careful what they wish for, because we do have a policy to assess for those types of projects. So you would be asked to participate in the cost of that. The property owners would.
Is there any way to prevent people from driving around the speed bumps? And I guess that would stand for the Jersey barriers solution as well, because those are isolated to the roadway. Yeah, any solutions there on how you could prevent the people driving around them?
That we need to do anything for the speed humps. I don't know that driving through the ditch would be any less bumpy or any faster. Definitely for the Jersey barriers, I would recommend those posts that I showed with option 3. I definitely think people would try to drive around the Jersey barriers, but I wouldn't be concerned about that with the speed humps. I've not experienced that elsewhere.
Sam, do you know if there's any considerations with vehicle emissions related to speed humps?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if that's you. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I mean, there definitely would be speeding up and slowing down again. I don't know that it's to the levels that I would be greatly concerned with it.
There's a request to go back to look at option 2 and option 3 again, and I will also note that I will send the link again to the website, which has all of these options, and the PDFs that we have been looking at are linked to that, so people can go in and look closely at that. And then there is a link to a survey where you can weigh in on each of the options. And we still have a little bit of time, so I'll let Sam review option 2 and 3, and then Sam just kind of put in a plug for, once we're through with the options, of the process going forward, how that decision is going to be made if there isn't consensus. There's concerns that there will just be a default. Well, nobody agrees on option 1, 2, or 3, so that must mean everybody wants option 4. And just concerned that we're making sure that that doesn't become the default decision, just because we can't gain consensus on one that we default to a different one. So just put that plug in for addressing that once you're done recapping options 2 and 3.
Sure. Showing option 3 again here. Yeah, it's Jersey barriers in the road. Got a picture of a Jersey barrier here to see what it looks like. Again, there might, I don't want to make any promises, but there could be a chance to use some of the ones that have some of the artwork from downtown last summer. And then I'm showing these red dots off to the side. This is a solution. This is actually in Rochester, where we had a problem with people living in, this is an apartment building on the other side of the post. They would cut from their parking lot onto this street stub here to get out of their residence. So this has worked elsewhere. I would recommend at least that as a minimal measure. And again, 2 sets of barriers to just further prevent people from driving around them. And back to option 2. Again, would require a vehicle turnaround at the south side where there's a private shared driveway. And again, if you live down there and own part of that driveway, I would like to talk with you about that before we make any decisions on it. And then we would actually remove part of the road through here and just maintain the ped bike connection. This is something we've done something similar out south side of Slatterly Park. If you want to pull that up on a map and look at a similar situation where, you know, it wouldn't be the first time that we've done something like this. So after the meeting today, again, we'll have about 2 weeks. I'll pull up the website here and walk through that. Again, each of the 4 options are here. You can pull up the pictures and study them for as long as you need to. Potential costs there. And then down here, we've got click here to submit your comments. So this brings up our survey, asks a couple starter questions, and then again, you know, it'll walk through each of the options. You have a chance to open it again and say whether you're supportive of each one, and then add additional comments on each option. So we are looking for a consensus. We purposely want comments on all 4 of the options separately, just in case, you know, one of them gets excluded and maybe that was the only one that you commented on. I really want comments on all 4 of them separately. I don't intend for there to be a vote. This is not, you know, there's all kinds of rules and, you know, as far as democratic elections and all that. And this is not that. We're just looking for feedback and comments. I do intend, after the 2-week comment period, visit with your council ward representative, Sean Palmer. I see Mayor Norton's here. She might want to talk about it with us too. Kind of go through some of the feedback and see how we want to move forward with this. But I fully intend to take one of these options or maybe a modified version of one of the options based on feedback and recommend that to City Council for approval. So, and then after that, then we'll get started with the project. Again,
Sam?
option 3. Yep.
Oh, sorry to have interrupted you there. There was a question of, is the original alternative permanently off the table, or is that going to come back? Is it an option to bring that into a play? Is that being considered against these other ones? Yes. So question about the original alternative.
I mean, it's still within the realm of possibility, I guess, but we're not considering that one anymore. I mean, the feedback on that one was pretty clear. So no, I don't intend to recommend that one to City Council.
And there was another question worth clarifying as people are considering their feedback on these options. Are the speed bumps permanent or are they removable?
We do have some temporary ones that we could try out and see how it goes. But the the cost that was presented was for permanent concrete speed humps.
Can you address quickly the timeline of implementation for the different options that are being considered or that we've just gone over?
Yeah, so the first, option one, option two, with requiring the easement acquisition, kind of depends on how supportive those property owners are. If they're supportive and they want to do it, then great. It might not take very long to acquire the easements, and we could probably get started with implementing them. Hopefully, before this winter. I think we should be able to do that, no problem. With option three, would probably take us, after this first 2 weeks, probably at least 2 weeks to get to city council agenda and get them to approve something. And after that, we could get it implemented pretty quickly. So I would say from today, probably 2 months, best case. Option four, we would hire somebody to do that. It wouldn't take a super long time. Obviously, if we wanted to just try out the speed humps, the temporary ones that we have, we could get those installed pretty quickly, matter of a couple of weeks. If we were going to hire somebody to do the speed humps, it probably would be, I would say 3 to 4 months.
Circling back to the costs of these, are there assessments related to the property owners related to any of these options, or are these all coming through just general funds?
No, there's not costs to the neighborhood associated with this. In the past, the neighborhood traffic management program did require a 50% cost share, but what we found out was that only very high income neighborhoods that complained a lot were the only ones participating in the program. So we removed that cost share requirement and really were able to open this up to a lot more neighborhoods.
There was a question about the speed of traffic north of 21st Street on East River Road. Do any of the options address issues there? Somebody had responded back with stop signs, but is there anything you would like to touch on related to speeds north of 24th Street on East River Road?
So no, none of these options address anything north of 24th Street. That was not part of the application where the concerns came in. That part of the neighborhood, there are sidewalks up there. There are, other stop signs, and there's more on-street parking. I think it is a little bit calmer of an area. I do think by closing this portion of the road, I also think that it's going to have less cut-through traffic too. People just trying to avoid the traffic signals on 37th and Broadway.
Okay, I'm seeing a little bit of a lull in the questions right now, so I'm going to take this opportunity to drop the website address into the chat. So again, this address that's in the chat has the link will take you to the page that kind of gives the overview of the project, covers the different alternatives, has links to the different graphics that we've looked at today. Then down at the bottom is a link to a survey where, as Sam mentioned, he's looking for feedback and a general support of yes, no, or I would support it if, what that qualification is there on each individual option. So I've seen a lot of comments into the chat. I'll do my best to record them and relay them to Sam, but really that survey is going to be a great way to convey all these messages and these thoughts and strong feelings that I'm seeing in the meeting chat. So there's that plug there. So there's a specific question of how will feedback be taken to City Council? Do we need unanimous approval of an option, or is it a majority approval to get it to City Council?
It does not need to be unanimous. We are looking for general consensus, but definitely not unanimous. The comments that you all submit on the survey, those will be shared with City Council. So try to keep them clean, but yeah, they'll see your feedback. So any comments you have, please put them in there so that our City Council needs to know what you all think so that they can make the best decision for the community.
And I will also make mention that we are hosting another open house, neighborhood meeting, whatever you want to call what we're doing right now, conversation tonight from 6 to 7. There is no plan to have different information. The only new information that would come up would be based on the questions that were asked, like we're seeing in the chat comment here. So if it's on your radar that there is another meeting happening, don't feel like you have to attend. You've got the information on the alternatives now, but of course, everybody is welcome to attend again at 6 if that is desired to participate in the chat that's going on currently in the chat window here. Oh, Sam, question about the road speed. Somebody is aware that the citywide speed limits have changed. Will these roads be 25 miles an hour or will they be something different?
They will be 25, yes. We've started making signage changes. We haven't put up any 25 mile per hour signs yet. We're still working on the streets that are currently not posted that are going to remain 30 miles an hour. We're installing a lot of 30 mile per hour signs right now. And just making sure that everything that is not changing is ready for the citywide 25 to go in place. But yeah, East River Road, 24th Street, Riverside Lane, all going to be 25 miles per hour.
There was a question about what I would interpret as kind of a perhaps a hybrid approach of different things we're seeing here, which is to put a speed bump at Riverside Lane and 24th going south, maybe trying to slow people down going into the turn.
So kind of like a speed table within the intersection, if I'm understanding the question correctly. So no, we can't do that because that's the state aid route from 24th Street going to the north along East River Road. We cannot have that vertical deflection on a state aid route like that.
They were asking about at the stop sign as a clarifier to their question.
If it's on the north leg or the east leg, then no, we cannot do that.
That answered the question. Thanks, Sam.
So if that's all the questions, I would be open to just sitting back and listening if you all want to just discuss amongst yourselves. So I guess with that, feel free to unmute whoever, or we can moderate it too if there's a raise hand feature that you can use.
I guess I'll just introduce myself and say hello. I'm Melissa Johnson, and we actually live up on Riverview. We were planning on building a house on East River Road, but have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and really a deciding factor for us to not do that yet is I was concerned about them getting run over by a car. And so that being a very real possibility of us doing that someday, I think whatever can improve safety would be best. I'm in favor of an option that closes the road and has fewer cars going past our property. But I think anything is a step in the right direction. And we still take walks down there often because we live very close by, and I fear sometimes that there's cars going very fast and not watching.
Fill out the survey.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I
So-
agree. Closing the street is probably the best option. I mean, even as far as the people living much further down the street going towards 37th Street, that traffic would greatly be reduced because people would not be using it as a cut through.
This is Adam and mine. I live on East River Road, and I've got young kids, kind of like what Melissa, I believe, was talking about before. Miss Norton suggested a couple times removable speed bumps. I strongly oppose the speed bump idea. I think it's a terrible idea, personally. I haven't seen any other feedback stating it's positive. Could we just maybe in the comments or some other function, is anybody in favor of speed bumps outside of Mayor Norton?
If the speed bump was only at the stop sign going north on East River Road, people have to stop at that stop sign anyway, and they're not. So if we put a speed bump at that stop sign going north on that south leg, people are gonna have to slow down. They're not gonna be able to fly down that hill. And as they're coming across from the stop sign, they're gonna have to build up speed to go up over the speed bump. But unfortunately, that option is not gonna slow them down once they get over that speed bump, and they're just gonna be flying down all the way to the south side of Broadway.
I know I've been passed on that road where I'm going a reasonable 25 miles per hour. I've been passed by people.
It looks like Vern Spear has his hand up. Do you have something to say, Vern? The floor is yours.
I'll say, Vern, if you were speaking, you are on mute.
Hello.
Now we can hear you.
Okay. There's no curb and gutter in front of my house. So is my front lawn going to be where the cars go around the speed bumps to avoid the speed bump? If you ever go in front of a store that has speed bumps, what do you see? The people do everything in their power to get around that speed bump. And I don't want, is speed bumps going to make East River Road safer, quieter? And a study produced by the state of California said speed bumps increase damage to vehicles, increase emergency response time, and increase traffic noise. So I'm definitely not in favor of number 4. That's 1, 2, and 3 is fine, but not 4. And when we had a meeting down at Foster Aarons Park, I asked people to raise their hands, and not one person voted for a speed bump. That's all I have.
Good point.
I see Michelle's hand is up. Did you have something to add, Michelle?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Adam and Vern and so many other people have stated about the speed bumps, and I really honestly feel we should just take that option completely off the table. It's not a good option for anybody. they're really truly a waste of money. Nobody abides by them. It might slow traffic down for the 2 seconds that it takes them to get over the hump, and that's about it.
Adam, see your hands up.
Well, hand up, you want to talk?
Yeah, I think there's two Adams on here right now. It was me again. Along with some of the other people on here, I'd just like throw my support behind option 3, quick and easy and cheap. Plus, has a better chance of being improved because then you can help other neighborhoods and stuff. And it feels like that's the general consensus.
Ryan, I think you're up.
You're up.
How do I?
I think you can talk.
Oh, hi. This is Shirley Ryan's wife. I was thinking with the speed humps, it seems like the people that are talking about speed humps are talking about them to get people to stop at 24th Street where you can't put the speed hump. So is there a possibility they can put a 4-way stop there? So if everyone has to stop, I think it might help their concerns with cross traffic there. But personally, I'm in favor of option 3 because the Jersey barriers are technically temporary. So if we run into a serious problem with them, that it's something that they can quickly change, where the other things seem to be much more permanent. And I also like the fact that the option 3 has the posts to keep people from driving on people's yards. As one of the few houses on the road that has a flat yard, I can tell you people will drive on your yard for no apparent reason. And if they get the option, they'll do it to avoid anything, you know, a stopped car or whatever.
I think I will address the stop sign question. So stop signs they're not part of the neighborhood traffic management program. They're not considered traffic calming devices. They don't work that way. And I do think that, you know, historically they've been overused quite a bit. You know, we've got other people here complaining that they don't work. I don't think that the solution is more stop signs. We could study the intersection to see if it meets the warrants for an all-way stop, but I really highly doubt that it will.
Okay. Because like I said, I thought that people that were talking about a speed hump wanted it to make people stop at that intersection. And since they can't put it where it needs to be to stop people, is there any other option to help slow people down and make them stop at that stop sign? Because I've seen that too. When I'm coming the other way on 24th Street, I automatically stop even though I know I don't have a stop sign, because people literally fly down the hill and don't even look coming down that hill at the stop sign. They'll just fly through it.
And you're talking about driving northbound, correct?
Yes, yes. They'll just, I am going west on 24th Street, and I will turn up on East River Road, but I'll just automatically stop before I get to that intersection, because people will come down East River Road going north and just blow through the stop sign, not even look.
Do you think those are people that are not in the neighborhood though that do that?
Definitely. These are people that
really
are living further on, or they're going all the way up to 37th Street and turning up on 37th Street. So yeah, this is not neighborhood traffic, because people that know, there's a stop sign there. These people don't seem to be concerned.
Also, We're
The
getting
road,
a
we
lot
don't-
of traffic from actually 48th Street. They will cut down Easter Road all the way down to Broadway. Every time I go to Menards, there's someone following me or I'm following someone else. So it's definitely increasing. And with the development of that corridor, we're going to have more traffic. Even with speed bumps.
It's a really good point.
Looking at option 3, where the barriers are, those little, the dots, is that city property then? Before that person's property, where the red dots are?
Yes, so between the black lines, the black lines, pull up the option again. Those are the property lines. So the city owns all the way out to there.
Okay, I just wasn't sure how that property owner would feel about barriers, you know, his post being in his yard or not. I don't know if he's on or not, but that'd be my concern, and that's not even my property, so.
Well, it sounds like the comments are kind of dying down a little bit. We don't have to sit here and stare at each other for the next 5 minutes. So I will again say that please fill out the survey and provide your feedback on there. Otherwise, you know, that's what I'm going to send to City Council for them to read and consider. If you don't fill it out, then they're not going to know how you feel about it. So with that, Megan, any other administrative stuff we need to address?
Nope, I was just gonna make mention that this presentation was recorded. We do plan to do the same for the evening conversation, and they will be posted to the website probably tomorrow morning. So if you know of somebody that wasn't able to make one of these conversations, make sure you let them know that the information is on our website, that there is a survey for the feedback, and that there is the option to watch the presentation, hear the conversation. Those resources are going to be on the website. And so we know not everybody can make these meetings. We tried to give a couple opportunities, and that's how we're trying to make sure people can hear the conversation, hear Sam explain what the different options are, and get some of that question and answer in there.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining. If you know, feel free to reach out to me again if you do have additional questions. We'll keep you updated through the process. So when you fill out the survey, put your email address in there. That is how I will keep you updated through the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.